All right. So this is going to be a long story, and it's going to be like piping hot tea. And it's about, yeah. So for people who know me, I moved into this apartment in January, which seems like an abnormal time, especially for like, oh, middle of the spring semester or whatever. It was in January, but still, school started and then I started moving out. Some people ask why, some of my colleagues don't know the clear answer. Um, Today I'm here to just say it all because it's in the back of my mind, and what happened in that apartment still to this day gets me very upset and mad and angry. Um, Plus, sometimes I tell this story because I think it's funny, even though looking back it's pretty messed up. And this is more of like, not more, well, I'll just explain later on. Because it all started freshman year when I was gonna move into a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom apartment. And then I got a text from someone. It was a couple. So the boyfriend texted me saying, "Hey, we're moving into the same kind of apartment as you. Do you want to be our fourth roommate?" I was like, heck yeah. So I know who I'm rooming with. Instead of dealing with 3 random people, I know who I'm going to be living with. I even met with his 2 other friends. They were fantastic. They're great. I thought it was all smooth sailing. Back then, he did say that his girlfriend was going to pop in here and there some of the time, which I was like, okay, that's fine. He didn't really fully explain that she was going to live with us soon, or she practically did live with us even within the first year. I'll be back real quick. Water. And yeah. But back then, I didn't care. I thought it was fine. It was like, still, it was like, oh, new apartment, no dorms, all that. I moved in, and there was the first things first was obviously the girlfriend was nice and sweet at first, and then once we living with each other, all the things are breaking through, not like bad ways, but like, oh, getting comfortable, that she, like, I don't know, doing this every time you greet me should have been my first red flag. And then there will be nights of hanging out and the couple will be high off of their weed pen, which I don't judge. I even tried it before. I think I failed once because at the very end I realized it wasn't even on. Whatever. Um, but they were saying STD jokes and dick jokes to me constantly because obviously I don't hide it, but I'm gay. And they constantly made fun of me for that while they're high. And it even got to some points where I almost cried in front of them or just ran to my room. And obviously they said, "Oh, it was such a joke. You're like, grow tough skin," or whatever. Yeah, still, that should have been my first red flag to stop. There's more. Later on for Christmas, they gave me a sign, or the girlfriend gave me a little metal sign that says it's not a whore home. No, it's not a whore house, it's a whore home. I'm not as mad as that because I did ask it because I thought it was funny, until once I actually got it, it felt more of an insult again, which I threw it out. And then she gave me a box of crayons to then say, "For your business minor," or whatever. I threw that out because still same insult and whatever. I didn't felt like it was a joke when she said it. Um, and the reason for that horror thing was I had a lot of friends over at my place. And this is where I will accept, and like, I've gotten a lot better nowadays of communication, where sometimes I would forget or not even tell my roommates that I would have someone over. And then obviously, as they should have been upset, and they did tell me. And like I said, now I'm much better with my new roommate. I tell him like every single time without a beat. And yeah, I'll take full blame for that, and I've gotten better. But I don't think it justifies them calling me a whore at all. Um, Moving on. Another, I think this is more speculation or whatever, but during the summer I was by myself and all, and living room and all that. I couldn't find the TV remote. They're like, huh, that's funny and weird. My suspicions was they hid the TV remote because the minute they got back, all of a sudden the TV remote magically appeared. That's that's weird. That's suspicious, but that's whatever. Then last fall in the timeline, it's now last fall. Um, the couple has been saying someone's not cleaning their dishes properly. They weren't saying who, they're being very vague, which doesn't help that there's a total of 5 of us living together at this point. And I was like, oh, okay, so how do you want the dishes to be done? Or like, you got any advice? For them, they don't trust the dishwasher because it was kind of broken a little bit. As in, I don't know specifically, but it still ran water and all that, hot water. So I thought, like, it's still fine. You just hand wash it and do dishwasher. That's how my family does it. But instead, they wanted to do hand wash and then dry rack. Which I'm like, okay, that's fine. And they don't want me to use a sponge. I use their rag to do it, which I'm like, okay. I didn't care. Because the reason why was the boyfriend has a weak immune system. Like, a common cold, to me and to everyone else, is like the flu or COVID to him. So cleanliness is super, super important. And I was like, okay, I don't want to get him sick, and I really care. Later on, especially with this dish, whatever, it turned the line of serious health was being faded with something else. That right. And after 2 months of me trying my best to clean and all that, because like I clean my dishes the minute I'm done cooking. I know that sounds weird. I just do it. So that way the dishes are clean and all that. I don't assume everyone else does it. I like to do it because I don't like dirty dishes. But I did it for 2 months their way, and then one random day I saw a gray bowl with rainbow silverware, and I didn't think much of it until the boyfriend was like, oh, happy early Christmas, here you go. And I was like, oh, thank you, I guess. Not even 5 minutes later, I got a text message from him saying, oh, by the way, you're not allowed to use our dishes anymore. Yeah. I asked why, and he said, you're still not cleaning dishes properly, despite 2 months of doing it their way and trying my hardest. Okay. Even to this day, sometimes I feel like I'm not the best at dishes, so that's why I use a dishwasher. But even then, I don't think it deserves to be an all of a sudden, like, random bowl and rainbow silverwares of all things. They could have just done silver or whatever. I don't know. I felt like that was unnecessary for the rainbow. Also adding on, there was a moment where I let everyone share a giant whiteboard. I have notes. Like this big guy. And I'll let them write on it or whatever in the living room for like shopping lists, events. One night, the girlfriend decided to do tally marks. No reason, just started. And there was one day where I asked her, hey, why are you tally marking? What is it for? And she was like, oh, it's whenever you have someone over. Or like, she was saying, she was trying to hint on my body count or whatever. And I was like, oh, well, first off, one, how the fuck do you know? And two, I asked her this, like, why are you doing that? And she said, oh, because we never seen a gay person in the wild before. Yeah, and I don't tally mark how many times you get your pussy fucked by your boyfriend, okay? So yeah. Going back to the dishes. So the kitchen was small, so there was barely any space for another set of dishes. So it slowly turned into my room being part of a kitchen of like having all the utilities and bowls and stuff. And then everyone started separating their dishes, but the girlfriend and boyfriend still had the same placement and all. And the other roommates still used some of their dish, like silverware. Do you see it? Do you see the red flag pattern happening? And then later on, another thing was the baton. Like, some people don't know what a baton is. This is a baton. It's the little stick that conductors use to conduct. So, baton. The boyfriend needed it for his class. I needed it for, I had my own original piece, so I used it to conduct. So I was like, yeah, sure, you can borrow it. And then he told me, oh, yeah, I'll pay my own in the future. Don't worry. This went on for a month, and then I noticed he bought a $30 chef knife. He didn't tell me. I just saw he had a brand new knife, and I looked it up online and then saw it was $30. So I was like, okay, so keep in mind, these are like 15, less than that on Amazon. So when he asked for me to borrow it again, I'll take blame because I think I was bottling an emotion where I'm like, oh, it's going to cost $10 if you want to borrow it again. He backed off, and yes, I agree. I could have just said no or whatever. But yeah, buying a $30 chef knife instead of buying a baton doesn't sit well. It doesn't make sense to me. But again, it's not justified of like, oh, that'll be $10 or whatever. And then, and then I still had friends over and all that, having fun. It got to the point where even if I gave heads up or not, that girlfriend will give like a parent tone to me or whatever every single time, with or without heads up, almost trying to insult me and all. Which got to the point, I don't know, I'll take blame because my brain was like, oh, if we're going to get the same kind of punishment or talk, then what the fuck is the point of heads up if I'm going to get the same thing? Bad logic, but if it happened way too many times that it just spiraled into that. Yes, it's bad, and yes, I'm still good. Like, I make sure in my head I tell whoever I'm living with who's coming over every single time. What else? Yeah, keep in mind, this girlfriend was a year younger than me. And she was really short. So having this short, younger person trying to be a mom to now a 21-year-old man is kind of irritating. Another thing was the whole roommates did D&D sessions all. There was one where I wanted to join and all that, and this is more of like a nitpick. It's not that serious. Of like, oh, we already said a story and all that, so we can't really add anyone new. And please someone enlighten me about more D&D, because I've only done a few sessions. But isn't that game all imagination? Like, is it that hard to really add an extra person? Because it's all imagination, and you can probably level up everyone or all the enemies by 1 or something. And then you can just add like, oh, he just stumbled into the bar or something. I don't know. Please someone enlighten me on D&D if that's really true, because obviously with everything else that's been going on, it just sounded like they're excluding me because they didn't like me. Then this is where the climax is happening, where I wasn't invited to the Friendsgiving, but the only way I knew that was I came home from work one day in dirty clothes and all that from Olive Garden, and I saw them all in tuxedos and dresses and just walking out, obviously in November, and I was like, oh, what's going on? I didn't ask them because I didn't care, and then I saw on one of the roommates' Snapchat stories that the Friendsgiving and all that, so I pieced them together. I'm like, oh, I wasn't invited. I don't really care, but it's kind of weird for me living with them for a year and a half to then all of a sudden, like, not even be asked if I wanted to come or not. And everyone else in that living situation, all the other roommates except me were invited. And this happened again at the Christmas party, this Christmas, where I wasn't invited and the presents started stacking at the Christmas tree. So my logic is like, okay, if I'm not invited to this Christmas party, I won't be receiving any gifts. Therefore, I won't be giving any gifts because I'm not invited. That couple had plans for me because obviously it happened. I came home from work one night, present's gone. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. I saw one present at my doorstep. This was from one of the nice roommates. He gave me like a whiskey set. So cool. And the other roommate, he had autism, but he's super amazing. I love him to death. He was like, "Oh, what did you get in your stocking and whatnot?" And he was trying to include me in all that, which I'm gonna be honest, I really appreciated that after, you know. So I played along. I was like, "Oh, let me check." I knew there was candy. I looked in it and I took everything out, and then there was black rocks, and I pulled it out, coal candy, saying, "Being naughty never tasted this nice." I read that out loud, and me and that other roommate just froze. I put everything in the stocking, went straight to my room. That was my breaking point, because that's just salt shoved into the wound. Um, yeah. And that's when I started texting and writing a draft of everything that I have been upset about, of how that girlfriend and boyfriend have been treating me. Because, one, insulting my sexuality, excluding me from any events that they have. Sure, that's not a big deal, but still, it's getting suspicious, and now it's getting kind of obvious. Excluding me from the kitchen despite me paying rent, and despite me cooking probably the most, or equivalent to that couple. Just, it kept piling up. And so I made the response. I actually have it with me. Let me see. Because during that time, I had a huge draft basically telling everything that I've been upset about, everything that I've told you. During the time, I was with one of my ex, and I wanted to get my point across, or I was really mad. I was really upset. Yes, this could have been bad on my part. I told him, "Hey, can you make this cunty?" And he's like, "I got you." And then made it, and I won't be surprised if he just plugged in ChatGPT or whatnot, and then sent it, especially because of the response I got. There's a reason why he's an ex for that. Where this is only the beginning of it. I don't have that response screenshot, which crap. But here's a bit of it. It says, "First of all, I really don't care if you think I'm untrustworthy or immature. You haven't said it outright, but the tone, the silence, and the way you love to swoop in with your little lectures make it loud and clear. So let's address it. I'm not changing my stance on having friends over, because during that time, they were starting to hint that they didn't trust anyone that I brought over, and they were worried about their stuff being taken. I told them, if it's that much of a concern, you can put it in your room like what I do." Anyway, I sent this to the girlfriend. I also added that she was a bitch and a 5-14 elf. This was her response. It's quite short. She said, "This is peak bitch behavior. Quite lovely. I'm only speaking to one thing, the group chat. You're not in it. You are not included in the Friendsgiving, Christmas, Rancher's dinner, etc. We only plan with friends. You've never," in all caps, "been included in the chat. Both of you to assume you are worthy to be in it. Have a lovely holiday. Santa's little helper already did her job." So I knew all that. And it gets better, because the boyfriend's response. Oh, this is, okay. So this was my cunty response, because now I accidentally stumbled to it. Okay. "First of all, I really don't care if you think I'm untrustworthy or immature. You haven't said it outright, but the tone, the silence, and the way you love to swoop in with your little lectures make it loud and clear. So let's address it. I'm not changing my stance on having friends over. I actually know the people I bring here. Shocking, I know. And they're not going to steal your stuff. If your things are that precious, maybe don't leave them lying around like an open invitation. Pro tip, try putting them in your room. Problem solved. You're welcome. Oh, and speaking of communication, am I even in this group chat you all love to bring up? Because I've never gotten a single notification about heads up Thanksgiving plans or Christmas events. It's almost like I'm not in it. Wild concept, huh? Maybe check before assuming I'm just ignoring things. Now let's talk about your favorite hobby, acting like a parent. Is there extra? Okay." And it cuts off like that. Again, the parent tone and all that. Very cunty. Is this... I'm trying to see. I'm trying to find the boyfriend's response right now. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a CVS long receipt. And I showed it to so many people, they said it was ChatGPT. I might take their word up for that. And again, I won't be shocked if the cunty version was also from ChatGPT, but still. And during that, I'm going to summarize it. I'm not going to read it all. I'm only going to read a few paragraphs, which I find hilarious. He addressed the baton thing, the dick move, whatever. I already said my spiel. What else? He was like, hey, if you want us to say it outright, you're untrustworthy and immature, congratulations, you can read social cues. Charging someone $10 for a baton is immature and a dick move, but that's fine. I'm getting heated up. He also then accused of me targeting the weakest person. I think that's at the very end. Yeah, I'll just read some of the end. Yeah. So we keep track of what degrades, and it's everything you use, so we know you're the problem and can't respect our shit. You're losing access to all of it, but all you do is dirty our shit up, even though I clean my dishes the minute I'm done using it, and they don't do the same either. They leave dirty dishes out. And bring over a bunch of booty calls. If you know, you know. I'm trying to keep that as... I know that's a little, like, a private part of my life, but I understand. If you think you're the victim of bad roommates, you're mistaken because you clearly haven't lived with you as a roommate. Sending the text doesn't make you more mature. It shows that you are exactly how we thought you were. We got you cold because you've been a little bitch since you moved in. And it was funny. You managed to give us plenty of reasons to not like you, which is pretty difficult. So congrats, you're an awful roommate. We only give you gifts that match you immature, childish, and unnecessary. I know you're a pussy because you couldn't say that to us in person. You had to text the weakest one because you're too scared to even text me or Noah. Don't call my girlfriend a bitch or a control freak. Or you'll be searching 3 new roommates, pal. We're done with your bullshit. You're the problem, not us. Merry Christmas. I hope you get more coal. Weakest person. That girlfriend has been a parent. And even if she wasn't part of the issue or whatever, she would butt in. And the interesting thing about insults is in psychology, they are normally a projection of oneself. So him calling me immature, childish, and unnecessary, I don't know. It could be back to him. It's all speculation. But he doesn't have a job. So that shows something. And I don't know who pays his rent. Maybe his parents or his girlfriend. But anyway, I love anyone else's opinions or thoughts on this or whatever. But ironically, I responded to both of those texts with a thumbs up because it was a argument I was not going to be winning. And then I said to that boyfriend, I'm moving out. He was like, oh, yeah, 3 new roommates? Yeah, I wish I did 3 random roommates instead of them. And I want to take all, like, if they're mad at me for dishes or not giving communication, I want to say I'm sorry, genuinely. But all the things they've done, I don't think justifies what I've done. And it does take a lot for me to hate someone. So with all the huge list of them insulting me and my sexuality and all that, yeah, congrats too, man. I don't know. It gets better, though. Let me go back to my notes. Because then he restricted all the dishes, so everything that I use from them, I'm not allowed to use it anymore. And yet again, I have to use my room for not only silverware and dishware, but also kitchenware. Meanwhile, everyone else had access to theirs. Yeah, found a new apartment. Here I am. It gets better, but because before I moved, there was the onion floor incident where I cooked one time, there was onions on the floor and all that. I came home the next day and they were swept to my bedroom door. Even after all the arguments. I had enough. I stood my ground, showing that I'm not a pussy anymore. And side note, I'm sorry that I seem like a pussy for sending it over text and then leaving for Christmas vacation, even though you sent yours in ChatGPT, and you know phone calls exist, and you could have talked to it in person or tried your best. But sorry, that's just the biggest hypocrisy I've ever read in my life. Like, I jaw to the floor, well done. But with the onions all to the door, I finally stood my ground. Like, someone did this in this house. And I can't believe, I love hearing this girlfriend's response of like, I don't know why you're making these crazy accusations. I wish I told her, two of the roommates I've already talked to like an adult and confronted any problems, and we're good. The couple has been constantly up my butt about every little nuances. So it's not really a crazy accusation, but more of an estimated guess. And again, I just accepted this is an argument I cannot win. So I just did death glare, just sure, childish or whatever, but like, again, it's an argument I couldn't win. And that boyfriend came back after that whole whatever, and he was like, okay, we're clearly not getting along. No shit, fuckhead. And he was like, I want to keep the peace. Let's not talk to each other. There was never peace to begin with. There was only insult, hatred, and just separation. There was never any, like, goodness. And then I had to figuratively, not physically or literally, I had to figuratively choke him out to get him to say who brushed those onion skins. And he admitted it. I said, you could have called, you could have texted, you could have done any sort of communication to tell me to clean my stuff. He was like, you're right. I'm sorry that I brushed them. Thank you. Showing that not only he knew he was in the wrong, but he was trying to minimize it. You see how this insult of projection is now coming into play now? But yeah. And I still see them to this day. Sometimes at Walmart or in the grocery store, and them just looking back, and obviously they're giggling or like, tee hee hee, like they win the fight or whatever. I don't care. I love this new place. It's cheaper. I have one roommate. He's awesome. I love him to death. He's amazing. And yeah, I get a much bigger space and all. I just never been happier since I moved. And it was funny because during that trombone, there was a trombone like library concert thing, and I saw her and all that. And it was funny because when I was leaving the library, I just kept seeing her like turn over like. And the reason why, well, obviously I told her off, but after that big fiasco, whatever, I told before I moved out, I told the apartment manager saying, hey, I'm having issues with these roommates. And they're like, okay, we don't have an extra room for you to move out. Who is it? I was like, okay, it was this girl. And they were like, she's not on the lease agreement. And I'm like, oh, okay. By the way, she's been living here for 1.5 years. And they're like, are you sure you want to expose that? Because they're going to know who did it. I was like, I don't give a fuck who thinks who did it. Because they know I did it. I want them in trouble. Because maybe you should read your lease agreement before trying to make someone live there for rent-free and not communicate to a fucking apartment manager of who's living there. But here I am. I don't know if the apartment catched them or not, but ever since I said that, that girlfriend was very hidden in her room and everywhere else. So yeah, definitely shook her a bit. Or I don't know, I don't care. And the reason why I want to tell this story is, one, yes, this is a funny story or whatever. The biggest word I want to describe both of them, and I hate using this word because I hate using it. It's overused as fuck. It's such a joke, or like it can be used as a joke. Homophobia. Because I also had autism. That roommate also was the nice one, got treated very well and all that. He did get insulted for still being single and all that almost every single day. So I hope he finds a girlfriend he loves, because he deserves it. But I don't know. Saying we never seen a gay person in the wild, STD jokes and dick jokes, it's not a whorehouse, it's a whore home, kept piling up and all that. Yeah. And one of my best friends did say, which I agree to this day, is like, you should have put your foot down like the minute they started STD jokes. Maybe that wouldn't have happened in the beginning. And I agree. Um, it's a lesson for me to learn, which, yeah, I totally agree. Um, but at the end of the day, I like telling this story because I think it's a fun story to tell. It's like been 30 minutes of me telling this crazy hot tea. And I wanted to tell people, I'm going to expose them, Wesley Littleton and Michaela Tucker. Those are the couple that have been treating me awfully for a year and a half. I don't care. I'm not looking for an apology from them because I know they're not even going to accept the things they did to me. So I would rather tell people my side of the story. I'd rather just pull shed into the light of what really happened in there and give my full thoughts of why I moved out and the awful things that has happened to me, to communicate, again, to laugh, to love, to like share the experience, and I'm not alone in this. But yeah, Wesley Littleton and Michaela Tucker. And I don't care. Sure, I'll gladly, if they had any other, or if someone else say like, oh, maybe you were in the wrong with this, I want to accept it. I want to apologize for it. Because we clearly didn't get along, and in my mind, I want to see the good in people. And especially if you're living with someone, I'm like, okay, put your differences aside, and we're living with each other, so we have to at least like accommodate each other or like be nice. They had no intentions for that, which I was like, okay, I had to learn that the hard way, I guess. But yeah, and I still see that boyfriend in the studio all the time, and it's just really awkward now. But that's the story. That's why I moved out, for my colleagues and for anyone who wanted to have some hot tea of drama. That's what it is. I don't want their apology because I know they won't accept it, and I don't think they're mature in their own sense or open minded to accept what they did was still shitty and not a way of justice, but a way of cruelty, in my opinion. And like I said before, I'll gladly accept any wrongdoings that I've done. I want to apologize for my doing. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this story.